Alrighty folks, coming at you guys today with the version 1.7.3 patch notes. We just got them. I think they're supposed to do the dev stream here in like an hour-ish, maybe a little bit longer. So I will check that out whenever they do that dev stream. Let's go through this 1.7.3 patch notes. I'm going to try to be as positive as I can. You know I'm usually quite positive about this game. I always tell you guys to keep enjoying Pred, but man, it's hard to go over patch notes like these, man. I'll be honest with you. I'll go ahead and spoil it if you haven't seen it already. Legacy, the map that we've been enjoying, the map that we got in version 1.7 is being removed in 1.7.3. So hey, we got to enjoy it for 3 weeks. We got to play an actual MOBA, but the Omeda team wants to go another direction. I'll go through it here, and they put out a labs post as well, breaking down Nitro and Brawl and Legacy and comparing them. But Legacy is going away after its short 3-week stay here with us. Really a shame. Really makes me consider taking a break from Pred. As someone who's played it for over 2,000 hours, made hundreds of videos and live streams on it, it's really like, I don't like seeing it go in this path. I want Omeda to do whatever they think is best for the game and for the community. So it's hard, you know, I'm trying to take my bias out of it somewhat. But here we are with 1.7.3 patch notes. Let's go right through them. Next Tuesday they're coming out, the 12th, which is when we expected them. 3 weeks since we got version 1.7. Here's what we're getting. A hefty round of balance changes to game mechanics, heroes, and items. I'll give my opinions on those as we get to them. Like I said, I'm just trying to stay positive here the best I can for us. Collection of brand new exciting skins, including perhaps the most requested Predecessor skin of all time. Great, give us your money. New variants of skins. Okay, good. Good that 2 out of 3 of these bullet points are skin related. General game updates. So yeah, that's what we've got. Very first thing up, store news. Of course, that's the most important thing. That's what makes them the money. Summer Fun Narbash. Buy it if you want. If you want to donate to Omeda. BioBoost Skylar. Pretty decent Skylar skin. At least they didn't put her in a bikini, so I appreciate that. Zinx Battle Queen. It's not super different from the other Zinx, but it is cool. I like the sci-fi theme continuing here. And then Corporate Enforcer Steel. I thought this was already like a skin, so maybe this is like just a little color change variant to it or something. And then some different color variants to some other skins that are already out. Additional features, we'll go through these first. They are up next here. Ashes of the Damned Battle Pass was slated to end on the 16th. It's actually going to end on the September 2nd now. Which is going to coincide with the release of another Battle Pass. This is when we're assuming 1.8 is going to be here, so that does make sense. This Battle Pass ending on the 2nd and the new one starting up then. Labs update, this is what I alluded to at the beginning. This is why trying to stay positive through these patch notes and trying to even like wrap my head around their decision making here is really tough. Pushed a new blog post. We'll go ahead and go over to that blog post now. What they've learned about labs, yada yada yada. We include limiting the number of available game modes to 3 at any given time, removing the lab's legacy, and some insight on the new game mode, which is basically a what did they call it in Smite? I don't remember what they called it in Smite, but basically the big single lane 5v5 random heroes, all random, all mid is what ARAM stands for. And there's some lore update stuff coming. So before we jump over to these balance changes, let's take a look at the labs post that they put out. This is the lab update. Labs so far in labs we've launched 2 new game modes, Nitro and Legacy. Nitro has of course been around for a little longer, but even with that in mind, there's a large difference in how often each mode is being played, especially when looking at the proportion of games played compared to other available modes. Surprise, surprise, when you draw in hero shooter fans, they played the hero shooter game mode, right? So I'm not going to zoom in on this, but basically this orange line is Nitro, The bottom is days since that game mode was released. See, Nitro has had a slow taper off, but still has maintained good players. Brawl was this blue line. It dropped off pretty quick and then kept tapering off before they ended it. And then Legacy is this green line, which has tapered off even faster on percent of daily players. This graph is kind of shocking to me and probably shocking to a lot of you. I've had a lot of people in the comments saying, we hope Legacy is here as a permanent game mode. We hope they add ranked to Legacy. All I've been playing is Legacy. I'm with you because all I've played is Legacy. I haven't played the old map since Legacy came out, because why would I when Legacy is a MOBA and the old map is just a faster paced hero shooter style MOBA? There's really no reason. Like, I would much rather play Legacy. In this graph, we see Legacy, the green line, has dropped off a much sharper rate than any of the previous modes. Simply put, players dove head first into the game mode, but didn't necessarily enjoy it enough to play more often as time went on. Nitro and Orange, on the other hand, remains very strong, consistently seeing players replay the mode. We all know nobody's been replaying Legacy, right? Certainly not me, who's played 70 plus games on it. We're also included Brawl because, like Legacy, we also see that players who tried the game mode slowly dropped off of it, with the slope continuing on a downward trend much lower than we have here. So yeah, Brawl dropped off fast. Surely Legacy is going to go to 0, right? Nobody plays Legacy. What have we learned? Yada yada yada. It's a traditional MOBA. We don't like that. One thing we do not want is a traditional MOBA map. We do not want any sort of slow pacing. We want the hero shooter mechanics here. It's what keeps people around. It's what draws people over for Marvel Rivals. So we want to get away from that if we can. And it's just, you know, one of the key things is that it's making queue times too long. Legacy is just, it's destroying queue times, having Legacy in this. It's put extra pressure on matchmaking times and has impacted player experience across the board. So yeah, I mean, the matchmaking times are just ridiculously too long. It is Legacy's fault because we have too many game modes. Smite, of course, encounters that problem as well. They have way too many game modes, and therefore the matchmaking times are trash. So they should probably follow Omeda's footsteps here and just remove a couple of those extra game modes, because nobody's playing them anyway and it's making queue times too long. So for the rest of the year, we'll be limiting labs to just one mode at a time. So that's where we're at. Legacy's being retired on the 12th, next Tuesday. Nitro, not only are we keeping Nitro around, basically what we're saying here is, in the graph above, you can see that we've been able to bring down the average game times in Nitro with some careful adjustments over the past few months, aka we need to get it away from MOBA, more towards hero shooter. But there's still a long way to go until we hit our target of 15-minute average game times. This line right here is right around the 19 and a half line, is what they've got it down to after that last set of hero shooter buffs to Nitro. They want to get this down to 15 from the 19-ish range that it's in now. So they're going to do some more tweaks to it in 1.8, before we're taking it offline completely in 1.9, because like I said, if we have too many game modes, the queue times are too bad. So they're going to take it completely down in 1.9 before bringing it back in version 1.10 after some more changes to make it faster paced. And in the meantime, when 1.9 comes around, we're going to get this all random, all mid format, single lane 5v5 mode, high paced, chaotic, built for non-stop action, a true brawler style mode. Okay, I got to get off this page, guys. I can't. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this. If I start going off on this, it's just going to become a rant video, and I want to get to these patch notes. So let me know your thoughts. Are you sad to see Legacy go? Are you a big Nitro enjoyer? What do you think about Brawl? Where'd Brawl go? I mean, was Brawl really that bad? Was it that harmful for the game that it needed to be taken out? Are you looking forward to this all random, all mid mode? That was fun in the Smite days for sure. I think it was a solid addition. But notice how they didn't remove anything in Smite to get that in there. They just added it as an extra game mode. So, hey, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe the queue times are long. I've barely played any Pred, so I don't have any experience in the queue times. But if I did, I would probably say that they're, reasonable. So Let me know your thoughts below in the comments. Let's get into the balance changes of this patch. First off, some general balance changes. Jungle, both Fangtooth and Mini Prime are receiving reductions to the value of global kill rewards. So when your team takes Fangtooth or when your team takes Mini Prime, the other people who weren't at that Fang take or Mini Prime take are receiving less gold, being reduced by 10 flat and 5 per level on the Fangtooth, and then 25 on the gold for the XP on Fangtooth, and then 25 less gold for Mini Prime takes, as well as 10 less flat XP. So less Fangtooth and Mini Prime flat golden XP. That's okay. It's not something I'm a fan of, but if that's the direction they want to go. Towers. Oh, you see towers here. Maybe towers will get a buff, right? Maybe towers will do more damage. No, absolutely not. Gold reward per plating. So when you take the armor plates off of them prior to the 12-minute mark has been increased from 60 to 70. And then tower plating temporary fortifications during has been decreased from 10 to 9 seconds. So when you take a plate and they get the extra armor, it is being reduced to 9 seconds from 10. So not the changes I would like to see, but hey, do your thing, Omeda. I think we've all got a good indication here in this set of patch notes the direction you guys want to go. Minor augments, not too many changes here in the minor augments. Regenerator, this is the one where you take damage and then you heal it back. Healing duration is just increased from 8 to 10 seconds. Total healing unchanged. That's probably fair. I mean, this wasn't like that overpowered of an augment to begin with. And then the farmer one, bonus minion damage decreased from 8 to 7, so even less value for taking farmer in lane. I don't feel like many people are taking it anyway. The mana sustain one and the extra health, the extra damage when targets are low are both significantly more impactful than farmer almost every single time. So some minor augment adjustments there. Let's get into the hero balance changes. I have briefly read through these. The synopsis of these before we even get into them are heroes that are overpowered receiving very slight nerfs. Some of them may not even be noticeable. The heroes will probably still be overtuned. Some heroes that received buffs or nerfs in the previous patch that we all knew were not going to come out or balance out well are getting the nerfs and buffs just reverted straight back to what they were. I don't know why we're doing stuff like that. I guess just test some stuff out. Even though someone, could playtest this, no, we'll just playtest it on the live. It's so just a series of minor, it's a balanced patch, so it's going to be mostly minor changes. Boris, one of the most blatantly overpowered heroes right now, ridiculously strong, receiving the bonus damage when targets are low augment, getting a nerf back down from 85 to 70. This before was, I think, 60, right? And then they buffed it all the way up to 85, which was kind of crazy. Health growth decrease, and then his Tesseract passive getting a little bit less healing when the core is out. Just a very small amount, 0.1 less per level, so really not an impactful amount at all. And then the damage reduction, I saw this and I was like, oh sweet, a nerf to his crazy damage reduction, right? Because he does that roar, then he has percent mitigation while it's going. It got nerfed by 1% at level 1, 2% at level 2, and then by the time you get up to max rank here, it is still 40%, which is only a 5% reduction at max rank. So I don't think that, it's probably not even going to be that noticeable realistically, right? So some Boris nerfs, he'll probably still be strong. Countess, getting a nerf to her Bloodwell augment. Yippee. Now when you stand on a blood pool, it only restores almost 40% of your health instead of 45%. I don't think that makes a difference at all, right? Physical power decreased at level 1. Mana regen decreased at level 1. Blade Siphon, the only sizable nerf here, is receiving 5 less flat damage. Still getting that trade-off back on bonus monster damage. So kind of a wash against monsters, right? And then the healing decreased by 1. Okay, let's not touch her passive, which is what makes Countess so oppressive in lane, and let's just barely nerf. I mean, this is like the most minor nerf possible, right? Crunch, empowered damage decreased on the left crunch. This is the true damage swing by 20 at max rank, none at rank 1. Alright. I thought crunch was in a pretty decent spot, but whatever. Decker, a little bit less health growth, less damage on the beam, which is probably reasonable because this thing did hit really, really hard. And then a little bit more scaling, so if you do want to build damage Decker, it'll probably pan out about even, but if you're not building damage Decker, a little bit less. And then Stasis Bomb, damage decreased as well by 20, same margin that the beam was decreased. So more utility. They're moving her away from damage, which is probably reasonable. She did hit ridiculously hard. Drongo, one of the weaker carries right now. This Rad Round Augment is complete trash. It doesn't really matter how much they buff this. It's not going to be good. Adding AoE damage to the Rad Rounds, I mean, it helps you clear, I guess, if you want faster clear on Drongo. But other than that, 60% instead of 50% on the damage and a little bit bigger radius. Don't take this Augment anyway. Attack speed increased is helpful to him. Mana growth increased is helpful to him as well. Wastelander, his passive, getting a little bit more damage. Finally, something that could contribute to him doing more damage. This is the tick damage that he does after an ability hit or a crit. And then Old Rusty getting a little bit of damage boost in the late game in exchange for 5 less damage at level 1. Probably a decent change as well. Keep in mind this and the Silence Grenade now both have magical power scaling associated with them. So it already hits hard if you're building like Plasma Blade and stuff. Fang Mao getting his dueling augment and his health restore augment some buffs. And of course the knockup augment another nerf because it's just the only one that you should ever be running on him. It probably is still the only one you should ever be running on him. But 6% increased damage dealt and 6% less taken is kind of attractive on the duelist augment. The health regen or sustain augments probably not really going to be... It's fun to play around with, but it's probably not going to really be good. The sustain doesn't match up against most solo laners still if you're taking this for solo lane sustain purposes. And then in jungle you shouldn't need it, right? You just build lifesteal or whatever. And then his passive, which gives him bonus power, is being changed from 5, 10, 20% bonus to 5, 10, 18% bonus. So a little bit less power when you've killed everyone on the other team at least once. And then Hamstring, getting a little bit less scaling and a little bit less bonus isolation damage in the 1v1s with it. So some nerfs to Fang Mao. I think he was in a good spot, but hey, what do I know? Gadget, receiving some interesting adjustments here. The augment for the bigger sticky mine is getting significantly larger radius. That's going to be kind of fun to see or play around with, but the stick radius is the same, so I don't know how much of an impact this really makes. A little bit less physical power for some more attack speed, some less health regen, and some less armor at level 1. Interesting adjustments. The sticky mine is getting increased enhanced damage, so when you stick them and then you hit them with an auto, it does bonus damage. It's getting 10 more at every rank. And then some quality of life changes. It can stick to minions. Targeting is no longer blocked by towers. And then terrain overlap radius decreased. I don't really know what this means. If it means verticality is what I assumed it means. But I'm not really sure on that. So we'll see what that looks like in game. And then Seek and Destroy, the projector, is getting a damage increase as well by 20 across the board. Is pretty solid. Greystone, a movement speed increase. It's almost as if we just decreased his movement speed a couple patches ago because it felt unfair, but a move speed decrease, a health at level 1 decrease, make way additional damage if he's running the make way augment is getting buffed to 20. That's probably good because this was really not a great augment. You should be still running the anti-heal in every single game. And then his passive, bonus physical power, decreased by 0.1 per level, so not a big change there. And a little bit less health regen for free from his passive as well. So, decent changes for Gray. I mean, he's still Gray, so what are you going to do? He still has the panic button. and you can still get great value with him, even despite him not having hard CC. Grim, getting the Systems Restore augment, a little bit of a nerf on the missing health restore when he bubbles something. Basic attack time increased, so that means slower auto attacks, not faster auto attacks, just slightly slower at level 1 here. And then the bubble shield itself, mana restore decreased from, is this 5% at all ranks? Yeah, 5% at all ranks. But mana restore, it's not that great anyway, because you can just auto with Sentry mode versus Assault mode and restore mana on him anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Grux, damage decreased on the crunch, which is interesting. Only by 5. Surely that'll make a huge difference, right? Double Pain, getting its mana changed from a level up cost change to just a flat 40 mana cost. Does hurt him a little bit at level 1, I think, as well as the crunch nerf by 5. Mana growth decreased as well, and then the ult attack speed decrease by 5 at all ranks, and the cooldown lengthened by 5 at all ranks. So some nerfs for crunch, or for Grux here. Definitely going to be weaker early game. And he's already not in a very strong spot, so Grux players unfortunately taking a rough one there. Iggy. Iggy's flame turrets continue to be on the durable side. They've nerfed Iggy's turrets' health and armor multiple times, just trying to compensate for this whole 4-turret system that they did. I thought Iggy was in a good spot here, but they want to make some of the other augments more competitive, I guess, with that 4-turret one, which you're never going to be able to do, right? You'd have to make the other augments so crazy strong to be worth giving up a 4th turret on Iggy. So Molotov bonus damage increased from 4 to 5 on the Molotov augment, and then the turrets themselves receiving reduced health based off of your magic power, reduced armor on the physical and magical side. So I'm an Iggy fan, but you know, how much can we nerf Iggy before he's not good, I guess, is the question. When every mid laner can one-shot all of his turrets, it kind of gets to the point where it's like, okay, man, this is, you know, it is what it is. Chimera, getting a health decrease at level 1, getting a health growth increase just slightly, so these will pan out in the late game a little bit better for you, a little bit weaker early. Unleash, getting a cooldown decrease. It's almost as if we just increased this, but what do I know? 7 seconds down to 4 seconds versus 6 seconds down to 4 seconds now, so you're pretty much always running this in, as long as you have any haste items, even if you just have like Draconum, this is almost always up. I know some people like to build Ashbringer and stuff on him too, but this is almost always up anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. And then Ambush, getting its slow increased to 40%, but the slow duration decreased. So overall, this is going to pan out to a little bit less of a slow, because it's just a very slight increase in the slow potency, but then a whole quarter of a second off the slow duration, so a little bit less slow potential, but still decent. Still decent early game, still decent late game here on Chimera. He's still going to be Chimera, right? Kira, health growth decrease. I guess she's a carry, so that doesn't really matter. And then Mercy, getting a 5 flat damage increase, but getting its scaling decreased, which is really weird to me, because generally you want to go the other way around with carries, right? You want them to have better scaling, worse flat damage, but here they're switching it to 5 extra flat damage for 5% less scaling. That means late game, when you have, 300 physical power or whatever, it's going to pan out to 10-ish less damage before crit calculations on Mercy. I've been enjoying Kira. I'm trying to finish her out to level 7 here soon. Still a very strong carry. I don't think these Mercy nerfs really hurt her too much. Bellica, still an insane mid laner, crazy 1v1 potential with the auto attack damage just being so oppressive. Her extra XP augment getting a slight buff, and by slight I mean don't ever take this augment unless you're just trolling for fun. because this doesn't matter. General, physical power decreased by 1, attack speed decreased by 5, mana decreased by 50, mana regen increased, which is a nice trade-off actually, and then mana regen growth increased as well. So a little bit better mana sustain as you scale up, but less max mana to start. Ability haste per maxed ability decreased from 10 to 8 on her passive, and then the Void Bomb receiving 10 less damage flat at each level. So some kind of reasonable Bellica nerfs. None of this really affects, other than the 5% attack speed at level 1, none of this really affects how strong and how oppressive her auto attack damage is. Morgesh up next, very oppressive healer right now, buff anti-heal. You know, that solves a lot of problems on meta. I'm just throwing that out there, buff anti-heal. Health decreased at level 1 by 5, yippee. Health growth decreased by 2 per level, yippee. Ritual of Death Augment, the shorter ult cooldown refund decreased from 25 to 20. 20 is still very reasonable. I think that doesn't really hurt her much. Spirit Shield, or Spirit Shred, the auto attack armor shred one, getting reduced from 4% to 3.5%. This is much more reasonable. That augment is really crazy for shredding armor. And then Mark, damage decreased by 5 at each level. So no healing nerfs here. And of course we're not going to buff anti-heal items because that would kind of, ruin the hero shooter feel. So I don't think this affects Mori any, right? Mourn, been incredibly oppressive. Number 1 solo laner right now. Top 3 win rate hero in the game. Benefited a lot from what they called, Mourn benefited heavily from the previous round of changes and bug fixes. Changes? You mean the buffs that he got? Is that what you mean by changes and bug fixes? You mean the buffs that you gave him made him strong? That's weird. I don't know how that would have happened. Anyway, after that last round of buffs and the items that you'd like to build on him getting buffed, he is incredibly strong. I'm probably winning 90+% of my solo lane matches with him. It's absolutely absurd. At level 1, gets a little bit of mana decrease, gets some mana growth decrease per level, gets some health regen decrease at level 1 as well, which is kind of balanced out by his abilities getting less mana cost. Beguile getting 10 less mana cost, Abduct getting 10 less mana cost, and then his passive damage bonus health scaling decreased from 8 to 7. Pretty reasonable. Cooldown increased from 9 to 10. I feel like they just reduced this cooldown, right, on his passive. Didn't they just reduce that recently? Anyway, going back up to 10. And then the Eclipse, the ult duration blind, is only 4 seconds instead of 4.5. Mourn still probably feels really strong in solo lane after this because of the Ella Frost buffs and the Void Helm buffs. Buff anti-heal, it will solve more problems than you think, Omeda. Murdoch getting a move speed boost. It's not as if he has a move speed stem in his kit, but if he did, this would probably feel pretty good. Muriel getting a health increase by 10. Interesting. At level 1, I don't know why that's necessary. Narbash getting a health growth decrease, which is kind of odd. Physical armor growth decrease and attack speed growth decrease. It's almost as if you just buffed this attack speed and there was no reason to do that. So we're reverting it. I mean, Narbash's jungle efficiency in the really? Like, we're worried about how strong Narbash is in the jungle is kind of wild. Phase. I can't make this stuff up, guys. Phase. Phase's general lack of utility. Okay, whatever. Healing increased on Phase, which is probably a good change because Phase does feel very weak. I think the extra healing probably benefits her. And then the Energy Lance getting a stronger slow per stack. Lets you land the root easier. It already feels relatively easy. If they don't have a wall or a decker cage or something to block the beam, you're going to be able to land the root most of the time. Oh, I just clicked on Rampage. Rampage, let me know in the comments if you have been seeing Rampage just absolutely terrorize all of your games recently, because it's hard to even find him when there's so many Boruses running around. But hey, if you do run into one, don't worry. After 1.7.3, he's going to be significantly less potent. Less starting health, less starting mana, less mana growth, less health regen, less health regen growth, less tenacity on his passive, shorter stun on his boulder, and slightly, just slightly, less temporary max health on his ult. Some buffs across, or some nerfs across the board from Rampage. I don't know why. I didn't think he was really that strong. But hey, you don't have to worry about him anymore. How about that, if you have been worried about him? Rena. Finally, we get down here to Rena, the most egregiously overpowered hero in the game right now. No surprise, though. It is the new hero, right? The only thing that's surprising is it took them 3 weeks to come out with these nerfs. Let's take a look at what they did and discuss if it is enough. Spoiler, it's not. Yuri's getting her 3rd round of nerfs, by the way. So, what a great precedent to set with that Yuri release date, huh? Physical power increased on Rena. Rena already feels like she does a lot of auto attack damage, which is quite odd. Base mana decreased at level 1. Echoes of the Dam, her passive stacks are getting some adjustments. The drop range is being increased to match the XP drop range. The lifespan is being slightly decreased on them. And then the essence drop chance is being slightly adjusted around. I don't know what the deal is with this 876 stacks per minute change. I'm assuming this means if you are currently at or above 8 stacks per minute, you get them less frequently. And then it's the same at 7 and now it's less at 6. I don't really know they're not very clear on what this means. But some different drop rates, we'll see how that feels. And then the gravity while hovering down increased by 8%, so a little bit faster descent when you're doing the hover down. Mortal Coil, the black hole, damage decreased in the late game by 20. Cooldown changed to be 2 seconds shorter at the beginning of the game, 2 seconds longer at the end of the game. So really almost no reason to level this ability, right? You shouldn't be leveling it anyway, right? But much less reason to level it now. And then the execute breakpoints are at 30 essence instead of 25, which is good. Realistically, they should have just reduced the execute starting threshold from like 8 to like 5, and then it would still pan out a lot better. Stupor, the Mez duration decreased by a whopping 0.05 seconds. Surely that'll bring it into a reasonable state, right? Not reducing the splash area of it, not increasing the gravity on it, and thereby reducing the range you can throw it, but just decreasing the Mez duration by 0.05 seconds. Cooldown increased as well by 1 second at the beginning of the game and none at the late game, and then essence breakpoints increased from 15 to 20. This is fine. This is whatever. The real problem with this is how easy it is to hit. I think making the splash radius of this smaller would have benefited it more. Soulfire, something no one could have possibly predicted, an increase in Soulfire damage. If you saw my spreadsheet video, you saw this is already the highest damage ability in the game. You are easily able to deal over 1,000 damage with this in the late game. So hey, let's just give it a slight increase, huh? 5 at rank 1, 9 at max rank. Scaling getting reduced as a trade-off. You're going to be building entropy anyway, so you're going to get 3% of that scaling back. And then cooldown increased by half a second. It should probably have been increased by more considering this is the highest damage mage ability in the game, but what do I know? And then 1% less scaling per tick on her ultimate. So overall, not nearly enough nerfs. Rena still will be unbelievably strong in the late game. Soulfire alone carries her in the damage department. And then the ult is just great for team fights. So don't expect this to be nearly enough nerfs. You will see more nerfs on her in the future. But hey, at least maybe it'll be slightly less oppressive. Not by much, though, right? I mean, really not by much. Maybe these drop rate changes will make her not pick up stacks as fast and you won't hit 200 stacks in super late games anymore. Maybe you'll be like right around 150 by the end of the game. We'll see how this pans out. Rev, missing health damage increased on the 4th shot. Kind of odd by 1%. I feel like they can't find a good balance for Revenant right now, so make, I guess, 1% changes until you do find that good balance. Richter getting less health growth, getting less health regen growth, and then getting a smaller shield when his passive procs, just by a very small amount here, but the max health scaling going from 11 to 9.5, I guess, is kind of a reasonable amount of shield nerf on him. Seraph getting a cooldown reduction at the beginning of the game by 2 seconds on her Ascend, her Flight, and then on her Chastise, the slow area damage ability, getting its cooldown decreased in the late game by a second. I guess is fine on Seraph. She's already still strong. Like, even with the Ashbringer changes, she's still strong. Sev, Unholy Pursuit, the Augment. We really wanted someone to consider using this Augment, so we buffed it. It's going right back to where it was pre 1.7. 2 stacks instead of 3. I will give him, though, that you could stack up Sev extremely fast with this. Did he need this reversion and then still need additional nerfs to his Omnivamp and to his ult cooldown? No, of course not. Definitely not. But I will give him that I was able to get max Sev stacks by like 16 minutes pretty consistently in solo lane. So this is probably a fair change. I don't know how balancing Sev is tough anyway, right? Because you can't make him too weak early or else your team just loses solo lane with him, and then you can't make him much stronger late because he's already incredibly tanky late, so it is what it is. Shinbi, given her lack of general utility, Shinbi lacks the raw damage and mobility to make up for it compared to other heroes among the roster. I thought Shinbi was fine. She feels really good right now. In jungle and solo lane, she can be an absolute menace. The ult is very threatening, tough to play around in solo as well. But either way, line tempo gets a 5% scaling increase. Rushing beat gets a 5% scaling increase. And her ult gets a 3% scaling increase. Her ult's going to hit absurdly hard again like it did a couple patches ago, pre-augments. Because, yeah, that's quite strong scaling when you're building like Orb of Growth and World Breaker and stuff. That's going to be a lot of damage. You may consider Entropy on her as well, because then it's going to get kind of crazy, huh? Sparrow, she's still been strong. She's still been very ult reliant. The Veiled Stalker Augment, notice how it got buffed up to 40 movement speed, and now it's getting reduced back to 30. It's almost as if you go watch my last patch notes video and I say, wow, that seems really unnecessary. That's going to be like unnecessary to give Sparrow, whose only weakness is lack of mobility, more mobility. But they did it, and now they're reverting it. Wow, that's, I don't know, pay some playtesters or maybe just get some honest opinions about it. That would be my best recommendation. But fortunately, her ult, getting a more significant self-slow while you're ulting is quite nice. And then the cooldown being increased in the early game, helps it a little bit. There's still going to be people that don't know how to play carry that have good Sparrow games because of her ult, but I think at least this does help some. The Veiled Stalker helps more for those people who are really good with Sparrow and who are just absolutely cooking with that. So I think that's a good balance. Steel, getting just some general nerfs. Steel's strong, but just very slight health regen growth, health growth, physical armor growth, movement speed decrease by 5. It's probably the only one of these that you actually notice, even if you notice that. Steel is still going to be strong. He's still Steel, right? Still has a strong passive. Fang, health decrease at level 1. Health regen decrease at level 1. Mana decrease at level 1. Brambles getting a significantly weaker slow. Just significantly weaker slow. I don't know why. I get it, Faye's really good, but is this what's really making her good? I don't think so. So we'll take it. Us Faye enjoyers will just have to take this one. Kind of unfortunate, but Faye is a little strong right now, so I can't complain too much. I'm still a Nettles fan for sure. Twin Blast, getting 5% less scaling on the grenades. That's probably reasonable because those grenades, when someone's spamming grenades, it feels so oppressive to play against the Twin. Wukong, health growth decrease just slightly. Wind Surge, I don't even know which ability Wind Surge is. I have a feeling it's the dash, it's the short dash, but it may not be. Cooldown increased. I'm trying to think of which of his abilities has an 11-second cooldown. It's hard to tell because you always have so much haste built on him, but 2 seconds longer cooldown in the late game on Wind Surge. If you're a Wukong main, maybe you know more what that means. But I don't think you really feel this too much. You should have so much haste built in on him. You have 6 abilities. This is only the cooldown on one of those 6 abilities getting nerfed. Yuri continues to prove a formidable opponent. Oh wow, is that so? Because you've nerfed her twice. So what does that mean about the release state of her? And what does that imply about your playtesters? Because if she's still a formidable opponent after 2 nerfs, imagine her on release, folks. Soul Weaver, the Augment, ultimate cooldown reduction decreased. This is when you were getting extra cooldown resets. I don't think many people were going this Augment anyway, but I guess they thought some people were, so they took it down a little bit. Health growth decreased, physical armor decreased, mana decrease at level 1. Her passive, giving less attack speed when it procs, which is really unfortunate because that was fun to play around. Total physical power scaling decreased as well from 15 to 10. What a shame. Anima burst. Mana cost increased. And then blocking windows reduced, or reduced on ground and increased in air. Kind of weird stuff going on there. Severance. Soul health decreased. This is the dash, right? So soul health decreased. Cooldown increased to 2 seconds. This is probably fair. If you don't get the dash reset, you should definitely be punished for it. So 2 seconds longer when you have it at max level is kind of probably reasonable, right? Because you should be dash resetting every time. Whispering Echoes, bonus physical power scaling decreased by 5. Cooldown increased to 7 from 6, so just a second longer at all ranks. And then the ult, hitbox more closely matches targeting range. Slow decreased again. Keep in mind, this slow was already decreased once from 35% to 20. Now it's at 15. So again, you think she's a formidable opponent. Imagine two nerfs ago when she was ridiculous on release, and y'all for some reason still released her in that broken state. Bonus physical power scaling decreased again on the ult. This just got nerfed last time around. Final Strike, physical power scaling decreased again. This just got nerfed. It's getting nerfed again. And then cooldown increased by 10 seconds at all ranks. So Yuri probably falling out of any sort of strength. You compare this set of nerfs to the set of nerfs that Boris just got, and I don't see any world where Boris isn't still significantly stronger than Yuri. Keep in mind, Yuri does have fundamental strength, as I call it, in her kit, which is not numbers related. But when you nerf every number, eventually the fundamental strength can't keep up, right? So if you're good with Yuri, you're probably still going to enjoy her, but this hurts a lot for sure. I mean, honestly, she's probably going to need buffs after this. This seems excessive. Zarus, just getting physical health growth decrease, physical armor growth decrease, mana growth increase, which is kind of odd. Cooldown increased on the Augment, for the spear throwing Augment. It's interesting, I guess. Interesting. I don't know if people are really going that Augment that much. And then the evade attack speed increased by 5% at max rank. Didn't really need that either, but we'll see. I think Zarus has been in a pretty good spot. I've had some good games with Zarus recently. And that's going to do it for the hero balance changes. Nothing too crazy, mostly minor ones, mostly reversions to previous states. The biggest nerfs, of course, coming to Rena and Yuri. Some surprising nerfs across the board to Rampage, I don't really know why that's a deal. Not significantly strong enough nerfs to Mourn or Boris to really take them out of their incredible position in the meta. And just some other minor changes around. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy. Some nerfs to count, but not really. We'll see. I think the meta has felt really tight. I expected a stronger nerf to Boris for sure, and to Mourn for that matter. But I think Yuri and Rena just, I don't even think this really hurts Rena that much. I think it'll be next nerf that Rena really gets taken down. Shinbi might be spookily strong. I will say those buffs to scaling seem kind of strong on Shinbi personally, because I've been having good games with Shinbi. So let's get into, let me check and make sure that we're still going here first. I don't want to, okay, we should still be good. I don't want, okay, yeah, we're still good. I don't want to have to redo this for sure, because, like I said, I'm already trying to stay positive through this patch notes. Seeing the removal of Legacy really, really hurts me, man. That's rough. Alright, item changes, very few to go over here. Brutalix, Purifying Rage, Tenacity, Duration decreased. Most of the time you're not going this over, like, Witchstalker, or what is it called? Anyway, the Rogue Crest Cleanse item, if you want it, I guess you could. I mean, Eviscerator, Rendering Strikes, Omnivamp increased. So yeah, of course, we want to buff a couple of these Omnivamp items, but definitely don't worry about buffing anti-heal, because healing's in a good spot. Next, sound damage stored increased from 15 to 18. Next users will like that, for sure. Next is really strong, so shout out to Next users, getting a little boost there. Sanctification. Safeguard Tenacity decreased from 60 to 45. The shield was usually more important than the Tenacity bonus, but kind of does hurt to strip that away, right? Silentum. Muzzle silence duration decreased to a second. I think that is very fair. Silentum is kind of easy to abuse if you have another silence to go with it, like a Richter running it. Can really just double silence you for so long, and it feels oppressive. Typhoon, always interesting to see Typhoon changes. Cyclone attack speed per stack reduced by 1%, but the physical or the magical power scaling increased by 0.5%, so this is actually going to pan out to give you more attack speed if you have big magic power. And then the cooldown on the jump getting 15 seconds longer, almost twice as long, does hurt this item a lot, because using that mobility frequently was one of the things that really made Typhoon great. Nightfall, getting 1% extra Omnivamp and 2% less bonus ability healing. That probably still balances out pretty well, right? Combustion, we're picking up an extra 1 pin. Okay, there's not enough pin items in the game, really, is the problem for Combustion, because you only have like 4 flat pin items to pick from. Maybe 5, I guess, if you include Spirit of Amir, so, or maybe that even is still 4. Anyway, 1 extra flat pin on Combustion. Support, Lunaria, getting a cost decrease by 50, and 2 additional health. Still not nearly as attractive of a passive as most of the other heal proc items. Think Windcaller, Crystal Tear, Everbloom, all have more attractive passives than this. So this is really the last one you want to go for most of the time. Tainted Charm, getting a slow increase by 2%. Decent for heroes like Narbash. Big tank supports who want to run an anti-heal item and a slow. Decent for them, right? Warp Stem, the Teleblink, Quantum Edge, Ultimate Haste increased from 15 to 20. Decent. It has a good stat line on it. Just if you're able to play around an offensive blink rather than an escape blink, you're still going to get great use out of this, of course. Fist of Razul, Minion Crusher bonus minion damage decreased by 5%. The heal proc on this is really more important usually than the extra clear proc. So I think this is probably fine on Fist of Razul. And then finally, Tainted Guard, not getting an anti-heal buff. Don't panic. Don't panic. I'm knocking my mic around because I just got so excited for a potential anti-heal buff. Blighted Thorns damage decreased on the flat damage side of it from 45 to 30, so less damage being put back on people that are autoing you, but of course not an anti-heal buff in any way. So overall, really not any impactful item changes to even recap here, just some really minor adjustments. So it is what it is. None of these, I don't think, brings any of these items out of the meta or puts any of them into the meta. The most impactful one is probably Typhoon, because it's a big hit to how frequently you can use that Typhoon jump, and in exchange, more extra power for sure, like or more extra attack speed for sure here. So that is going to do it. Yeah, that is going to do it. We'll read the recap here. Some bug fixes, some really small bug fixes. Thank you very much for reading and sharing the feedback that helped us get here. We have plenty more things already in the works for 1.8, and the arrival of a new demon character is getting closer by the day. Expect plenty of exciting things to see in the lead up to September 2nd. So that's going to do it for the patch notes, folks. Like I said, this is a hard patch notes video for me to make. I can't believe that they gave us Legacy for 3 weeks, and now it's going to be gone, because it's literally all I've been playing. So really a shame there. I think, in my opinion, let me know your thoughts overall, not just on the labs changes, but on the general balance. But in my opinion, the excuse that it's been making queue times longer is something else is behind that. That's a very cop-out excuse of the queue times are getting too long because we have too many game modes. I get that can be a factor up to a certain point, but at the same time, you have finished content that's running that people are playing. Why not just let them wait in those queues? I mean, I don't get the drawback, I guess, of giving people the choice. Like, you're taking the choice away completely and just saying, hey, you guys aren't smart enough to go and play the game mode with shorter queue time, so we're just going to take this game mode away from you. That just throwing some stuff out there. Or is there other excuses behind it? Is it there's errors in the Legacy map that they don't like, or they don't want to fix, or they don't like have the resources to fix right now? Are they planning on phasing it out so that they can bring in their own larger MOBA map? Do they just want to go as far away from the MOBA direction as possible? I mean, what other excuses are there? Are you sad to see it go? I know I had a ton of people in my comments in the live stream chat saying, man, I hope this mode is staying permanently. I hope we get a ranked associated with Legacy, because it's all I've been playing, and I've been with you guys. So it is a shame. Come check out this lab mode blog that we got here, Predecessor Labs. They should check out this graph and all this stuff. They talk about Legacy. They talk about Nitro. Nitro is still not fast enough for us. We want Nitro to be faster. We want 15-minute games in Nitro. On one hand, I get it. You're pulling some players from these hero shooters, and you want to, adapt to that hero shooter audience. But at the same time, like, really, man, we can't focus on it being a MOBA. Anyway, I got to stop because I'm going to go into another rant again here if I keep going. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. I know this one went long. A lot to cover, a lot of balance changes. Timestamps below if you want to review hero changes, item changes, the labs summary. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. Keep enjoying Pred, folks. Honestly, just keep enjoying Pred. The removal of Legacy and the direction of all this almost makes me want to consider taking a break from Pred. As someone who's streamed it every day for months and months here, I think I've maybe missed 2 or 3 days in the last 2 months. Honestly, this is just, what is there to say? Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for all the support on the channel recently, and keep enjoying Pred, folks. Just keep enjoying Pred the best you can, at least.